Namaste and happy Global Entrepreneurship Week. I'm extremely sorry that we started late today. We're broadcasting to you live from Angola and we've had some technical difficulties, including losing power, but that's the life of an entrepreneur. So welcome everybody to Global Entrepreneurship Week 2016. It's all your hard work, dedication, passion, and commitment to success. Today's Fireside Chat promises to be extra special. Once again, we're extremely fortunate to be joined by some truly spectacular entrepreneurs and business leaders. We are some very lucky globalpreneurs. Now, given all the excitement around today and the fact that we unfortunately had to start late, I'm going to quickly just introduce our panelists, and then I'm going to ask them to properly introduce you to and tell you a little bit about themselves. Please bear with us. We are having connectivity issues, so let's all just do our best. Welcome to Global Citizen, His Excellency, Dr. Ambassador Taledgar, who's a world-leading game changer of the year, global strategist, international speaker, and global ambassador. Welcome to Shanghai, China-based Sophie Wu, who's an innovative disruptor, educationist, and born entrepreneur. Welcome back, New York, USA-based Suzanne Muller, who's an executive coach, running coach, and successful blogger. Welcome to London, UK-based Oni Anyado, who's the founder of Oni Anyado Media House, a global leadership speaker, entrepreneur, life coach, and author. And hopefully he'll be here shortly. Welcome to Luanda, Angola-based Jose Carlos and Taledgar, who is an entrepreneur, innovator, and strong supporter of entrepreneurship in Angola. Now, let me hand it over to our VIPs and ask them to introduce themselves. Doc, would you like to go first?
Yeah, sure enough. Thank you again, Alysia, for the introduction. I have been an entrepreneur for the better part of 2 decades. However, I serve on the diplomatic of the Security Council of the United Nations. But over and above that, I am just challenging and going through the waters of entrepreneurship just as anybody else.
Thank you. We are extremely excited to have you here today with us, and my apologies once again for our technical issues. Sophie, would you like to go ahead and introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. So I am based in Shanghai, China, and I've started the Will Women in Leadership League, which is a non-for-profit organization based in China to empower women with the form and also to learn from female and male mentors. And I was also an entrepreneur that used to run a Mandarin school in the past, and I'm building up another startup now with the platform of learning know-how. So yeah.
Welcome, Sophie, and we're very excited to hear about all the exciting things happening in China. Suzanne, welcome back.
Yes, good morning, good evening, good day, everybody. My name is Suzanne Muller. I'm originally from Switzerland, and at the current moment, I live in New York City. I'm a global coach. I'm very curious about life. I'm a gypsy at heart, and I'm focusing on a healthy and mindful lifestyle.
And just so everybody knows, when we were in Prague the last time, poor Suzanne had connectivity issues, so my apologies, Suzanne. Oni, please go ahead.
No problem.
Oni, are you there?
Yes, hi.
Yes,
Good
I'm
day,
here.
all.
Yes.
Good day, all. My name is Oni Anyado. I'm a UK-based global speaker, entrepreneur, and life coach. From my message of distinction, I speak on corporate, educational, and business platforms around the world, teaching people how to become distinguished in their chosen field.
Thank you, Anya, and we're very excited to hear from you and to learn from you. So just a few important shout outs for our community, as always, and for any new entrepreneurs joining us from around the world. You can continue to send all your questions and news through to inspire me at onlinefiresidechat.com, and we'll make sure to include them. We have champions managing the chat room, so if you have questions for our panelists, please post them in the chat room, and our champions will help you get them answered. A reminder, we have community champions across the globe. Given the shortness of our time together, I'm not going to tell you all the different cities around the world, but if you are out there and you'd like to connect with the champion in your community, feel free to email me at onlinefiresidechat.com, and we will make sure to connect you with our community of champions and our meetup groups, and I'm sure you'd love to get to know them. Also, we'll be translating this session to 6 languages today. If you would like us to translate to your language, you can email us as well, and we'll do our absolute best to help you in that regard. Thank you to our growing family of supporters, collaborators, champions from around the developing world. You're all hosting sessions for hundreds of entrepreneurs who don't have access to bandwidth. Thank you very, very, very much. Thank you to the government ministries, UN offices, embassy corners, British Council offices, university campuses, schools, business incubators, Chamber of Commerce's, community centers, radio stations, our team of translators. Thank you to all of you for doing this for us. We can't thank you enough. Today is only because of all of you, all your hard work that made it happen. Today is a very special day for our community, and let's jump in and start learning. Before we ask our panelists to start answering all your hundreds of questions, we're going to be awarding our 7th weekly award this week during the session. We've got some very special entrepreneurs that are going to be winning it. Also, we have our December 7th Global Fireside Chat Community Awards happening on December 7th, as I said. You just got to keep hustling away at those businesses, because we have just announced that we're going to have another award. Thank you to Noah St. John, one of America's most inspiring business leaders. He'll be joining us next week as a panelist, where he'll be giving away his book and audio recordings. And he will be sponsoring the Noah St. John Global Fireside Chat 2016 Influencer of the Year Award on December 7th. We will be sharing the link to this application form in order to apply to win this award with our newsletter this week. So a lot of exciting things happening. Now let's jump right in and start asking our panelists what it takes to be unstoppable as an entrepreneur. Our first question, a community question, and I'll open it up to all our panelists. Please feel free to answer it and just have lots of fun. Our question goes as follows. Do you think greatness is something you are born with, or can it be created through passion and discipline? Doc, would you like to answer this one first?
Sorry, Alysia, I lost you a bit there because I didn't hear every word that you had just mentioned there. Could you just repeat that, please?
I'm so sorry. I was saying, and I know we've had this conversation before, and that's why I open it up to you first, because I'd love for you to share your insights with our community. Do you think greatness is something a person is innately born with, or can it be created through passion and discipline?
Well, I think greatness certainly it comes from a certain place, and you've got to start from somewhere. And there's a saying we go by that a mind once stretched by a new idea can never regain its original dimensions. Now, looking specifically towards entrepreneurs, greatness comes from what I call the 3 A's, our attitudes, our aspirations, and our abilities. And all of those we keep perfecting as we keep narrowing through either the trial and error, or we keep narrowing through our own fixated, pivoting areas within entrepreneurship. So it's something you grow continuously perfecting. You have to keep bettering your best for you to get there.
Thank you. Extremely inspiring words, and I think a lot we can learn from that. Would any of our other panelists like to contribute anything to what Doc just said?
Yes, it's Oni here. I think definitely greatness and entrepreneurship go hand in hand. I think for me, the essence of entrepreneurship is not about age, but rather it's about influence, impact, and inspiration. So one, as an entrepreneur, their greatness will grow, their greatness will manifest, their greatness will produce results once they influence, impact, and inspire people around, whether it's in their family, in their society, in their community, at the world at large. the global market is now local and the local market is now global. So entrepreneurship isn't about age, but rather entrepreneurship is about influence, impact, and inspiration. So once we understand that, then obviously our greatness can grow and, we can become all we are created to become.
Thank you, Anya. I'm feeling very inspired by what you and Doc just said. And touching on a few things that you just mentioned, I'd love to ask each of you as extraordinary entrepreneurs and leaders, how did each of you find your passion and purpose and see it through to create the greatness and success that you each have? Sophie, would you like to start this one?
Yeah, I lost a bit of the signal there. Would you repeat the question again?
Sure, I'm so sorry, and thank you for bearing with us with the technical difficulties. I was asking, how did each of you find your passion and purpose, and how has it helped you to create your success?
Yeah, well, to find a passion in person, as in the entrepreneur themselves, I don't think it's that difficult per se. So I think most entrepreneurs, they do have that pursuit in becoming better themselves and to better themselves basically every day on a daily basis, and to have that attitude of that being positive and also pursuing better results, and also to find that passion in others, like in business partners or in the target audience. I think it's a matter of leadership, and it's a matter of entrepreneurs also being leaders in a way that making an impact to influence people around them so that they can find passion in other individuals around them as well.
Thank you, Sophie. And I know, Suzanne, you made the transition from big corporates and the world of diplomacy to being an entrepreneur and coach. Do you have any thoughts in terms of finding your passion and purpose that you'd like to share with us?
Yeah, I think the people who are positive are passionate, and basically what I learned from another entrepreneur, you have to get up every single day. You need to be motivated, and whatever your motivation can be. So me, I'm a runner, so I like to get up. I like to run. I like to be outside, and then I'm more productive throughout the day. So it's about creating that motivation, and also as an entrepreneur, never giving up. That's the most important thing for me.
Thank you, Suzanne. And you, funny enough, touched on my next question. So going from good to great to unstoppable is a challenge in the world we're living in, given how competitive it is. Do any of you have any tips you'd like to share with us to overcome the challenges in peak performers? Oni, would you like to open this one up?
Yes, I think a tip I can give, a key I can give, is to be sold out to your vision. So that one has to be sold out to vision to bring generational change. One has to be sold out to their vision to bring global change. And one has to be sold out to their vision to bring gradual change. So, for example, I was telling an audience the other day, if Richard Branson said to Mark Zuckerberg, we'll pay you £25 million a year to work for Virgin if you leave Facebook, he wouldn't take it because he's sold out for his vision of Facebook. So I think we have to be sold out from good to greatness, to become peak performers, to become change agents. We have to be sold out to our vision. No plan B. Once we know what our vision is, we stick with it, we surrender to it, and we serenade it. And then that's when our distinction can go. So we can go from good to great.
Good words of wisdom there, and definitely worth applying. Do any of our other entrepreneurs want to add anything to what Oni was saying?
Well, let me add on to what Oni just mentioned. I mean, if you go through the book, Tim Grover's Be Relentless, Good to Great to Unstoppable, Now, you were to take, and of course this is the theory that we set, what we call the Head Start theorem. The 1% who are the top of their game, what is it that they do different that other entrepreneurs don't do different? And so you break it down to what I call my 3 levels, which are persistence and determination, a positive spirit and mind, and the power to visualize and build. Now, we also go by a slightly vexing aphorism: if you do not program yourself, life will program you. Apparently, half of the entrepreneurs are caught in the idea that talent or genius or education is just but some of the things that sum up into what entrepreneurship really represents. If you look back at that, I always break it down and I keep telling all entrepreneurs, first, educate yourself. And I don't mean formal education, I mean self-education. Formal education will only get you a living. Self-education will make you wealthy. Second, invest in yourself. Have an only quality people kind of mindset. Surround yourself with people who can build you up, people who can understand where you're going and where your vision is. And thirdly, start to matter. You cannot start to matter in the marketplace if you haven't really invested in yourself. If you were to pick a book every single day for the next 5 years in that specific industry you're in, and you specialize in that craft, you'll be the only person who can speak in those terms. But we have a huge bunch of what I call the educated derelicts, where as entrepreneurs, we don't do that. We don't visualize this thing that we want, see it, feel it, and believe in it, and have a mental blueprint and begin to build on it. So vision is just a smaller part of what the love affair with an idea is. And that's my take on it.
Thank you, Doc. And you've touched on so many important points, and I've got so many questions to ask you with regard to what you just said. And you actually spoke about a book that I think we both gained great value out of. Would you recommend that all our entrepreneurs read it?
I think it's one of the greater books as to looking at how to change your mindset and challenge your mindset, because Tim Grover was a trainer for the Chicago Bulls, and what he was simply simulating and theorizing is he had seen those people present themselves in such a way on the court and off the court, and they were pushing both physical and mental dominance in what unlikely made them unstoppable. Now, if you're to take that into challenge, each day we are supposed to challenge ourselves beyond being comfortable. And entrepreneurs get somewhere where we have pushed past apathy and laziness and fear, but then we become complacent. So the ideology of pushing beyond just the uncomfortable state, those physical barriers, and starting to crave a result so intensely that the work is irrelevant, you start to look at the opportunity and not the obligation of it.
Thank you so much. And I know you just touched on the Chicago Bulls and Tim Grover, and I know Suzanne's got some very interesting insights in terms of the mindset of a champion when it comes to sports. And my question around this is the idea of mental strength and the importance of it to create an unstoppable entrepreneur. Do any of you have any tips to optimize our mental strength if we are trying to become as successful as all of you? Suzanne, would you like to open this one up?
Yes, I think the mental strength is coming with growing, and with all the panelists have shared already. It's about getting outside of that comfort zone. That strengthens your personality. I also would say it's to be curious, ask many questions, and just learn from other people. And in sports, obviously, the mental strength is visualization. So when I'm a runner, I'm an Ironman. Certainly, when I went to those events, I always wanted to see the finish line. So I was planning, okay, if I have 100 meters to go, I know where the end is. I know it's around the corner. So it's about visualizing where do you go, and don't look back. We have to look forward. We always have to look forward, no matter what.
Thank you, Suzanne. Do any of our other panelists want to contribute anything to what Suzanne and Doc were saying? Okay, let's move on to our next question. And I think this touches again on this idea of mental strength, but this one's about confidence. And I think we would all love to learn from each of you in terms of your self-confidence and the fact that you need to have it to be able to put yourself out there in uncomfortable situations, and then put your business out there in those uncomfortable situations. And we'd love to know from you if you believe confidence is more important than those innate skills and abilities you were born with. Oni, would you like to give us your thoughts there?
So can you repeat the question again?
Sure. Again, my apologies for our connectivity issues. It's the idea of confidence and cultivating confidence to make you a successful peak performer. And I think the issue is building that confidence. Is it more important to your success than the innate skills and abilities you were born with?
Yes, I'm an advocate of confidence. You know, someone said that money makes the world go round, but it's that confidence that in that understanding that you are your brand, that you are an entrepreneur, that you are called to be a change agent. I think confidence comes from knowing your gifts, knowing your talents, knowing your passion, and you're more than willing and able to help other people grow their gifts, their talents, and their passion. So confidence is a key, is a necessary attribute to become, from good to great.
From good to great is the one thing we keep talking about. I think we must all get the book, and I think we need to make sure everybody reads the book by Jim Collins, From Good to Great. Thank you, Oni, for recommending it there too. So you touched on something very valuable, and I think I'd love for our community to understand it a bit more in terms of the importance of surrounding yourself with people who inspire you. Is this very important in terms of your success as entrepreneurs?
I would like to take that question.
Okay, ladies first.
Okay. So I think the importance of surround yourself with people who inspire you, or the first class people, is very important. So basically, I think there's this mindset of how basically passive in a way the entrepreneurs can be with the companies or the projects that they build up, but also how positive they should be as an entrepreneur, because there's no other way. So either they keep doing it or they just give up. So I think in a way, if they surround themselves with people with positive impact, or with people who could inspire them, they could actually also increase the productivity of themselves. And also they can learn more from people who are like them, and who can help those entrepreneurs.
Thank you, Suzanne. Would any of our other panelists like to contribute anything? Doc, I think you wanted to say something there. Did you want to say something, Doc?
Well, I'd like to add on to that, because proximity is power, and we start to transmute even the worst or the most horrible things into positive influences. And so being close to people who have got a certain understanding, a certain experience in a certain area, who are able to assess situations and mentally simulate their outcome faster, begins to shed some light on the entrepreneur. And so we all feed off whatever is close to us. They normally say, if you're hanging around 3 millionaires, you're the fourth. Let's play that back. If you're hanging around 3 people who don't understand and don't see something in you, then they won't wish it for you. And so entrepreneurs have to have people who have got a growth mindset and not a fixed mindset around them.
Thank you. And again, there's another book we have to get, Carol Dweck's Growth Mindset. I'd love us to share it with the community, how you can change your perception of your circumstances in order to succeed with a growth mindset. A question that keeps coming up from the community is when you become an entrepreneur and your family or friends or community don't necessarily support you and don't necessarily approve of your becoming an entrepreneur, how do you go about pursuing that goal even when that support system is not in place? Oni, could you give us some thoughts there?
Yes, I think to be an entrepreneur, it's going to take a lot of fortitude, a lot of foresight, and a lot of insight. Not everyone's going to be happy with your vision to bring generational change, global change, and gradual change. But if you know it's that one thing principle, if you know it's what you're sold out to, if you know it's from your gifts, your talents, and your passion, then it's critical that you stick with the vision. I mean, speaking from my own experience, when nobody in my family owned their own business. So when I told my mum, because obviously I'm a Nigerian, and Nigerians, they want us to be doctors, lawyers, or pharmacists, she couldn't believe it. She was like, no way, how can you get paid from this? It's impossible. And then when it began to speak for itself, then she celebrated me, and then she congratulated me, because then my family realized that, hold on a minute, this is all he's got, and it's actually making positive impact. I'd like to quickly read a quote from one of my books regarding vision, and it's quite insightful and it's quite relevant for what you say, because I think once we understand the essence of our vision, we cannot and we shouldn't let our family stop us, or our foes stop us, or our friends stop us. So, in the early stages, people will doubt your vision, but when your influence is being recognized, the same people who scorned you will be the ones who will later claim they were assisting you. Eventually, the same people will stand in awe at the birth of your vision, which will grow to inspire the previous, present, and future generations on how to hit the target for distinction.
Thank you, Oni. Extremely inspiring words of wisdom. And I'd love for you to share more about your books and that with our community. I'm sure they'd love to reach out to you about it. And I think you touched on something very important. It's with regard to the role of mentors. We would love to hear from each of you. How did you go about selecting mentors? And if you were giving advice to entrepreneurs, how would you encourage them to go about selecting the right mentors for themselves? Doc, would you like to open this one up?
Well, thanks again, Alysia. I think the most powerful part about having a mentor is that they can, through experience and understanding, they simulate and assess situations for you faster than quite normally if you're just a novice. Now, in the issue around mentorship, I always tell half of my mentees and other people around the world that pick somebody who's in your field and in your craft, somebody who understands your market, somebody who understands where you're going and that journey, enough for you to have that self-obsolete. You can be able to not go through that whole learning curve because they've been there before you. So I think it's very important that as you seek a mentor, you seek somebody who's got an idea of collective consciousness with where you're coming from and where you're going to.
Did you have any specific mentors that helped you along the way that, looking back, made all the difference in your personal success?
Yes, I've had tons of mentors. I think I've had quite a number of them, and I think they come based on where you are and what growth you're going through. Because once you start talking about certain areas within entrepreneurship, they must have an understanding of what challenges you're going through, how you're supposed to overcome those challenges, and how best enough they can continue to push you to be able to understand certain things. Because as an entrepreneur, once we make a choice or take a stand, we will encounter personal or interpersonal pressures to behave consistently with that commitment. And so a mentor is just part of that tracking system to tell you, look, this is where you're going. And so the trajectory is better when you have somebody who has been there, who has done that, and who understands what you need to have for that 1% to remain at the top.
Thank you. Sophie, in China, as a woman, you've accomplished so much. Did mentors play a very big role in your success?
Yeah, for sure. So one of the main purposes for me to establish the nonprofit of Will is to get mentors for those who need mentorship. And I think women need mentors not only from other women leaders, but also other male leaders, so that they get the perspective from both sides, and especially that it will help them to work with their male peers or male senior supervisors in their working environment. So I think in this sense, what we are trying to do, or what we hope women in China to achieve, is to have a mentor that can help them to walk through their life process in terms of not only professional development, but also personal development, as in finding who they are and achieving who they are and enjoying who they are.
Thank you, Sophie. And I'm sure a lot of women would like to reach out to you to learn more about your work in terms of women's empowerment in China. So I'm sure they'd like to connect with you. Talking about that, each one of you, from my interactions with you, is very passionate about empowering other people to succeed. What effect do you believe this has had on your personal success? Suzanne, would you like to open this one up?
Yes, so I think empowering is very, very important. And I am part of the Jerry Blair Women's Mentoring Program. So I'm mentoring a woman from South Africa in Johannesburg. And I'm also mentoring a young student from Cambodia, and the organization is We Do Global. It is about empowering the others. And for me as an entrepreneur, I wish I had that when I started out. But I think for me it's very important that I'm giving back. And what I also would like to add is being an entrepreneur can be very lonely. So you want to make sure you have like-minded people around you, you have a good support system. So if you can find entrepreneurship, mentorship, and people in your field, that's the way to go.
Thank you, Suzanne. Doc, I have a question for you in terms of this question we just asked. I know you've helped hundreds of entrepreneurs in Africa around the globe to become the best entrepreneurs they can be. Has this played a big role in terms of your ultimate success?
I think spending a lot of time, and around the world, spending a lot of time with entrepreneurs, you start to understand certain concepts about what success is in itself. So for me, currently, success is not achieved until you have a successor. And so putting to mind to work the idea that it will be bad or it will be sad if you were to die without having made a major contribution to humankind. Empowering entrepreneurs is part of our growth process, even as mentors, where we get to share our experiences and they share theirs. So it's part of also perfecting and crafting our own best nature. So the ideology around just empowering entrepreneurs and simulating areas of their lives that I believe entrepreneurship in itself is a habit. It's not just a lifestyle, it's a habit, it's a behavioral action that consistently you have to keep evolving with it. And so as you empower them, they also empower you. And I've seen that right around the world, from Africa to Asia to Europe to America, that all entrepreneurs are in need of great mentors, but not mentors who are practically there to just teach them, but to walk that talk. Because once you start talking about what's happening in the business, once you start talking how it's affecting your personal life, once you start talking about how it's taking you away because they say entrepreneurship is lonely, and one of the panelists does say that, how do you understand those situations and how can you better them by being in the same frame of thought as you advise them, even as a mentor? So yeah, I think it's great to have a relationship where it's kind of like a 360-degree centric approach, where you're learning from them and they're learning from you, because we're not business coaches per se. We're just mentors who bring the experience from the field, and we try to set it in the same way for them to be able to learn and to grow, and to appreciate the journey of entrepreneurship.
something very, very interesting, the idea of entrepreneurship being a habit. From all the reading I've done, one of the things I've noticed, and I'd love to ask each of you, is the importance of writing down your thoughts to create those positive habits in your life. So whether it's a journal, whether it's just writing those thoughts down to get your creative juices flowing, what are each of your thoughts in terms of making this a habit for entrepreneurial success? Onyi, would you like to open this one up?
Yes, thank you. Writing down my thoughts, writing down our thoughts is essential to going from good to great. Many times I've had ideas when, 6 months ago, and then I'll look through my journals this is like a year later, and it's like, oh my gosh, wow, how relevant that is to what I need to achieve. So writing down your thoughts, we have millions, thousands, hundreds of thoughts every day, every hour, every minute. Some of them are not, imperative for our destiny, our vision. Others are important. Others are seeds for 2020, 2025. So writing down our thoughts are essential to entrepreneurs. I think, some of the entrepreneurs that we respect, we regard, and we recognize understand the essence of writing down your goals, writing down your thoughts, writing down your ideas. And you might not necessarily achieve them tomorrow or next week or next month, but they're still there. They're still in your heart. They're still in your view. They're still there to use as a reference point for your future, which has already started.
Thank you, Onyi. Would any of our other panelists like to contribute anything?
As an entrepreneur, I think it's important to look at the little successes that you have. So instead of keeping a journal where you put down your emotions and, your fears, focus on a success journal where you're putting down, like, what have I achieved that I'm proud of? And I put it in the chat box. So if you get new business cards, that's a big milestone. So you should celebrate, even if you just allow yourself to go outside for a walk, have a cup of coffee with a friend, celebrate your milestones. And as the other panelists said, write it down. Writing down is very important. So by the end of the year, we can look back at a successful year.
Very good advice, writing it down and looking back at the end of the year. Doc, would you like to contribute anything to the importance of writing things down and looking back and seeing your success and improvements?
Thank you, Alysia, for that. And I think Onyi and Suzanne have really extrapolated the idea behind just noting down all your milestones and everything that you achieve as you go along. Now, of course, the better part of that is also to understand that you must have an achievement mindset. Now, what we practice in my own business and what we practice in the whole organizations that I work around and the boards that I sit around, we have what we call an energy signature. Each time you achieve something, we have a complete screen that blanks out and we celebrate you. But far from that, the achievement mindset is supposed to create a certain nature within the entrepreneur for them to constantly know that we have to go over and above just being good, pushing the element beyond good to a point where we call it a repeatable model. It is constantly achieved by each entrepreneur. That what you do, if you're practicing business the way you did 2 years back, then you no longer have a business. So the aim is always to be the best, not the biggest, the best. We detail down everything we do as the best and not as the biggest. So whether we compete with Nike today or we compete with Apple, the idea is not to have this fancy big part of it. And what Suzanne says, take yourself out and have, sit down with your friends and celebrate that little win, because in it there's a milestone towards a bigger win. But don't get complacent as you do that, because as you write it, what I always say is, as you write it down, shred it. Write it down, shred it, celebrate it, and move on. Because then again, the step just gets higher. Once you're at the top, you can't keep looking down, otherwise you'll fall off.
So extremely interesting insights. You talked about an achievement mindset. And I think something that comes into that is the biggest thing that faces so many entrepreneurs, the idea of failing. And sometimes that idea can actually land up manifesting itself because they are so scared of what happens if that business doesn't succeed. What happens if an entrepreneur does fail? How do they pull themselves out, create that through that achievement mindset and keep going? Onyi, do you have any insights you'd like to share?
Yes, Alysia, thank you. Failure is part of every entrepreneur's journey, whether they're in Afghanistan or in Algeria, whether they're in Australia or in Cameroon, whether they're in France, whether they're in London. Failure is part of the journey. One of my quotes, I said, entrepreneur, it's your discipline, dedication, and determination that will distinguish you. It's your discipline, the 3 Ds, dedication and determination that will distinguish you. So, for example, last year I was homeless. I managed to write my 12th book in less than 5 hours. Why? Because I saw the bigger picture. I knew that my current state of being homeless wasn't my final goal, wasn't my final destination. I saw the bigger picture. I saw the bigger vision. I actually visualized the end of the goal. So even though I was homeless and I hadn't bathed for maybe a week, 2 weeks, and my breath was smelling, I wrote my 12th book in less than 5 hours. So I'm not a failure. In fact, I use that milestone to challenge, to inspire, to equip other people to rise up. You know, one of my quotes, I think from my 9th book, I said, how can we tell people never give up when some haven't even started yet? So you failed, and what? And what? It's all part of the journey. Every entrepreneur, global, local, white, black, young or old, that we regard, respect, and recognize, failed. And that's part of our journey. That's where we get our inspiration from people's failure, quote unquote, because we know that they're not a failure. It's part of the journey. So, entrepreneur, it's your discipline, dedication, and determination that will distinguish you. Discipline to learn what went wrong, dedicated to rise up again, and determined not to make that same mistake again or regularly.
Thank you, Onyi. Suzanne, would you like to add anything to what Onyi was saying?
Yeah, I think failure, as you said, is part of the journey, and it depends how you define failure. So failures to me are challenges, and we all know there's ups and downs in life. So some of them you can anticipate, and I think it goes back to that mentorship, surrounding yourself with people who support you. So if you are in a group of people who always say no, 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 well, then you need to break out. So don't let yourself be put in a box. Otherwise you fail, certainly, I would say. Make sure you do what you want, and also celebrate your failures. Some failures we can grow. We can do something different. And if we look at people, they change their careers many times. So you might start out in one field and then change to the other, but always be passionate of what you do and learn from the mistakes. So as Oni said, the determination, don't make the same mistake again. Lesson learned and move on.
Thank you, Suzanne. Sophie, I know that as a young, very successful woman in business in China, there must be a lot of pressure on you in terms of family, in terms of social expectations. Do you have anything to contribute in terms of what Suzanne and Onyi were saying?
Yeah, sure. So I think the determination, and then especially for female entrepreneurs in China, probably has to be a bit stronger than entrepreneurs, well, in general in the West, I suppose. And yes, for sure, in the Chinese culture, there are a lot of expectations for certain social norms of how women should live in a way, and also how, at what age, what women should achieve in terms of building up their family, and also follow up certain social expectations. So it's not very easy, but still, like in the recent years, we have seen changes and also encouragements in female entrepreneurship in China, which is great. And also we have more venture capital investing in female entrepreneurships as well, and also in a lot of more female startups as well. So I think it's for sure an astonishing growing generation for us, and there are lots of opportunities for Chinese women to grow and to interact with international opportunities.
Thank you so much, Sophie. So I know our time is very limited, and I want our panelists just to share a little bit more, but before our time comes to an end, I just want to announce this week's winners. Congratulations and thank you to these inspiring community champions. You are extraordinary, and through thick and thin and bad technical difficulties, you all stand by us. So today you've really earned your award. Our winners of Grant Cardone's Be Obsessed or Be Average are the following extraordinary community champions. Congratulations and a huge thank you to all of you from us. Our winners are Dr. Susana Yanes Garcia from Cuba, Emily Ilong from Cameroon, Jeremy Pesner from the United States, Mary Mshai from Kenya, Guru Mehar Singh from China, Sadie Okoko from Angola, Jackie Gossman from South Africa, Mariam Diawara from Burkina Faso, and Mariam Abdullahi from Nigeria. Well done to all of you. Thank you for your incredible work. You are absolutely amazing, and we managed to get through today successfully because of our community standing together. In the spirit of our Fireside Chat community tradition, I'd love to ask each of our panelists to please give us a tweet-length piece of advice for our entrepreneurs to go and apply to big performers like you. Oni, would you go ahead first?
Thank you, Alysia. I'll give you a quote, a definition about who an entrepreneur is, because once we can understand who an entrepreneur is and what a role of an entrepreneur is, I believe, our journey could be a bit more easier, so to say. So, an entrepreneur is a leader of excellence, trailblazer and pioneer who constantly brings change to their generation. An entrepreneur is a leader of excellence, trailblazer and pioneer who constantly brings change to their generation.
Thank you. And please post it in the chat window on Twitter for all our entrepreneurs to be inspired and to go and apply this knowledge. Suzanne, would you like to go next?
Yeah, actually, I received a beautiful T-shirt from a friend of mine, and I'm wearing it today. It says dreamer, thinker, doer. So to me, this is the description of an entrepreneur, and I want to say to everybody, don't be afraid. Go for it. Try out everything, and be curious and never give up. Good luck to everybody.
Thank you, Suzanne. Sophie, would you like to go next?
Yeah, I think what I'd like to say is more about so never stop looking for opportunities, and never stop believing in yourself, and never stop believe in the world and in others, because you never know. Maybe what you want is just ahead of you, one step away. So never stop looking.
Thank you, Sophie. Doc, please go ahead.
Well, I think for all entrepreneurs out there, one of the things that I focus on every single day is, as you start something, just clear out the self-doubt, put yourself out there. Forget about how big the idea should be, how fantastic it should be. Just start. The whole idea of entrepreneurship is getting started. And there's a huge difference between being a entrepreneur and being an entrepreneur. So whatever it is that you have, whatever it is that you're working on, whatever it is that you're putting out to the market, just get started. Make all the mistakes you can, and don't lose the enthusiasm as you do that. Just make all the mistakes and still get back, because that's how you start to learn. That's how you get better at it. But 3 things you must focus on. Educate yourself, invest yourself in yourself, and start to matter. Those are the 3 areas of every entrepreneur to master your craft. Master your craft by investing in yourself, educating yourself, and then start to matter to the world.
Exceptionally good advice. Just before we close, I just want everyone to know we have our pitch camp this Sunday with Dr. DRD, our pitch camp expert. For any entrepreneurs that want to apply to pitch to our panel of super investors on November 30th, this will be the opportunity for you to practice your pitches in order for us to choose the 4 entrepreneurs that will be pitching to our panel on November 30th. If you'd like to apply, you can email inspireme@onlinefiresidechat.com and we'll give you all the information you need to join us on Sunday. Don't forget, next Wednesday, we've got a very cool panel. And we've got Noah St. John joining us as one of our guests, which is going to be really awesome. And he'll be awarding 7 lucky entrepreneurs his book, as well as launching his award for our Global Fireside Chat Awards. And then on December 7th, we've got our big award ceremony. So we want everybody to support one another and to join us. Please just keep us up to date on all your progress and your news, and we'll do our best to include you in our newsletter. Email anything exciting happening to inspireme@onlinefiresidechat.com. If you'd like one of the recordings from one of our translated sessions, please just email us and we'll make sure to include it. And we'll make sure to link you with our community champion to assist you. Thank you to everyone. Thank you to our panelists. My apologies today has been so difficult, but we have pulled together as a community, and this is what it's about. This is what it means to be an entrepreneur. Thank you again. I'd love for our panelists to say bye to everyone. Who'd like to go first? Onyi, would you like to say bye?
Bye, everybody. Have a great day, a week ahead, and here's to your continued success, distinction, style.
Thank you, and please feel free to reach out to Onyi on LinkedIn. He's extremely kind and very caring when it comes to entrepreneurs. I'm sure he'd love to hear from you. Doc, would you like to say bye?
Thanks again, Alysia, and thank you everyone for having me. I appreciate the platform. Once again, I think everybody go out there and become unstoppable. Be the 1%. Let us turn over the numbers from the bottom 10 to the top 1. Let's keep at the top 1.
Thank you, Doc. Once again, Doc is an incredibly special person. I'm sure he'd love for you to reach out to him on LinkedIn, and I'm sure he'll answer any questions you have. Suzanne, would you like to say bye?
Yeah, goodbye to everybody. And my mantra is think like the pro, be the pro. So good luck to everybody, and goodbye, goodbye, goodbye.
Thank you, Suzanne. I know there are quite a few lady entrepreneurs that would love to chat to you, so I'm sure you'll hear from them on LinkedIn. Sophie?
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, Alysia. It has been a great time. And I have learned a lot from other panelists in this session, which will give me a lot to think when I'm going to bed in 5 minutes. And what I want to say is to everyone out there is to keep learning and to keep giving every day. Bye, everyone. 再见.
Bye, Sophie. Bye, everybody. Thank you. Remember, never give up. Keep hustling and you will become super success stories. So thank you, everybody. Happy Entrepreneurship Week and see you next week. Bye.
Bye.